like to take the dried web frame and put it back in clamps, and I've got to scrape off this black glue because it really clogs up our sanders. On this side it looks pretty good. I was able to clean it all off, but this side not so much. So by putting it in clamps, it'll hold it well enough that I can scrape. So press down with one hand, and you should be able to pull shavings off. That's how hard you're pressing. Okay. Now it's ready to be squared. We are going to wide belt sand. We will then joint this edge, table saw this edge, panel saw this edge, and panel saw that edge. Here at the sander, we are going to sand it down to thickness, which is 3/4 of an inch, or 0.75. So let me walk you through how to use this. First, we're going to use the calipers to measure the thickness of the workpiece. That's what that is. I'm going to make sure it reads at 0. If it's not reading at 0, just hit that 0 button and it'll change it to 0. So look how easy it is to recalibrate. Then when it closes, see how it's off? So close it, hit it 0, and then I'm going to check it in multiple locations. So I got 822, 827, 821, 833. Since that's the largest measurement, that's where we're going to start. Now I use the keypad to set the sander to the measured thickness. Set thickness, green button. This is the on button for this machine. So I go set 0.833. Now I'm going to turn on the sanding belt and the feed belt. That's there and there, green, there and there. Then I'll send the workpiece through the sander. Then I'll adjust it to go 5 thousandths less. Then I'll flip the workpiece, send it through again, and I repeat that until I get to 0.75. When I'm done, I turn off the sanding belt and the feed belt with the red buttons. And this is the emergency stop. This is the only, this one or this one are only used for an emergency. Otherwise, it just winds down with those and saves our machine somewhere. Okay, so I'm going to turn on here and there. Adjusting now 5 thousandths of an inch less. So I'm going to go 828. There's my wheel. 828. I flip the workpiece, send it through. Adjust. Next I'm going to 823. Flip the workpiece over, send it through. And I'm going to keep doing that until it reaches 0.750. This is a very slow process. it's going to take me about 20 or 30 passes to get this down to what I want it to be, because it takes so little off per pass. Now you might say, why take so long? Why don't we just run it through the planer? We could do it in 1 or 2 passes. It's because the grain direction goes opposite ways. The planer only likes the grain direction going this way. So if we send it through like this, it would tear this. If we go like this, it tears those. Sometimes I'll send it through diagonally through the planer with some success, but it still tends to tear. And this will give me success every time. It just takes a while. So I'll be 10 or 15 minutes behind this machine. Now after this reaches 750, check it with the caliper and make sure you're at 750. I have found that this is a liar and this is a truth teller. So sometimes this says 750 and this says 770. And I got to keep going. Just keep going 5 thousandths more until this, your friend the truth teller, tells you it is 750. Okay, after sanding, now I'm ready to joint this edge, table saw that edge, panel saw, panel saw. Now note that I am jointing the edge, even though this is the shorter of the 2 dimensions, it's still joining this edge that has all edge grain. If I go like this and joint it, it tends to tear right here, and sometimes it'll crack it all the way up. So I don't want to be jointing ends. I want to be jointing edges. Nice and clean and straight. Now I'm going to go to finish dimension. In this case, on the Journeyman, this measures at 22 inches. Keep this tight against the fence as you go through, right? Since it's longer this way than it is this way, it has a tendency to pull off the fence and it'll give you a poor cut. So stay tight. I'm looking right there, making sure it stays tight to the fence. Beautiful. Now my finished dimension here is going to be 14 inches. So I've got to remove a 1/4 inch. I'm going to do an 1/8 on this side and an 1/8 on this side. Since I'm doing 1/8 first, I'll set the stop at 14 1/8. Make the cut, flip it around, set it to 14, and make the cut there. So first I set it to 14 1/8. Just lightly press that. Bring it up to the stop and I'm ready to go. I'm setting to 14 inches, my final cut. Tighten it lightly, bring it up, hold it there. Check for square is to do it with a tape measure. So I'm measuring 14 inches there. Make sure it's the same all the way down. Check there. 22 inches. Should be that way all the way down. Then check your diagonal. 26 and just over an 1/8. 6 and 1/8, that. That is really good.